My goal right now is to be doing it up until the day I die, and just keep on learning and doing more of it. You know, I'm still so new that every performance, every time I play the guitar, I feel like I'm learning something new and getting better.
When I was a child, was gonna be an astronaut and explore the stars with Chewbacca and Spock. Or maybe a pirate on the seas far and wide, a real salty dog with a patch on my eye. I'd tell my mama at the end of each day, she'd lay me to sleep, and here's what she'd say. May you be happy and be well wherever you roam, and be free from suffering and find your way home. May you be happy and be well wherever you roam, and be free from suffering and find your way home. When I got older, was gonna be president, feed the hungry, clothe the poor, wherever I went. On Saturdays cure cancer, and on Sundays cure AIDS. I'd fix old Rock Hudson, but I'd keep the parades. I'd tell my mama at the end of each day, she'd kiss me goodnight, and here's what she'd say. May you be happy and be well wherever you roam, and be free from suffering and find your way home. And whatever it is you do and whoever you become, may peace be with you till all your days are done. You'll always be my darling one, my earth and my sky and my moon and my sun. Never made it to the White House, never sailed the seas. Spend all my time raising my sweet honey bee. She's got 10 perfect fingers and 9 perfect toes, 3 teeth in her smile and her granddaddy's nose. And when she's falling asleep at the end of each day, I look to the stars, and here's what I pray. May she be happy and be well wherever she roams, and be free from suffering and find her way home. May she be happy and be well wherever she roams, be free from suffering and find her way home.
Hey, Joaquin, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
So we're talking about why do music, especially after having done a couple of different careers, and you've lived a few years on the earth, and
Yeah.
you got into this. How? What happened?
So music for me this time around, it's been about 4 years now.
Yeah.
And it was just, I getting started was just another way of expressing emotion and kind of just expressing what was inside of me. Right now I work as an administrator for the university, and before then I worked with students for the university, and then actually worked in fisheries research for a little while. But
you did that for quite a while, didn't you? A PhD in marine biology?
Stream ecology, actually. And so I was a graduate student for 6 years and did that. And then it was pretty clear early on to me and to pretty much everyone else that research and studying fish was not my gig. And so then I started working in student services at the university, in student housing, and then the Internship and Career Center, and then advising sororities and fraternities. And I've made a shift from that to more administrative work now.
I'll say. And the shift you made, it kind of, I think, feeds into your musical motivation. Tell me a little bit about what you do now as a job.
Sure. For the university, I'm a sexual violence analyst. I work for the Title IX and Compliance Office, and so I help out with campus-wide sexual violence response, education, tracking, and reporting. So
this would make you see, or it would make you think that you'd start writing a bunch of songs about terrible angst and trauma and whatnot, but that's not exactly what you do. What drove you into starting music at this later stage in your life?
At this stage, I don't know if they're totally connected. There were really two things. One was just this growing desire to kind of express my emotional identity. Yeah. And then the kind of immediate thing was, I just got separated and eventually divorced. And so it's almost a stereotype. There's tons of people out there who get divorced and just have this overwhelming amount of feeling and emotion to process. And there's a ton of songs out there to help get all the feelings out.
Lots of songs about pissing and moaning.
Yeah.
So to speak. Well, seriously though, when you got into it, were you? Did you go into performing to find more happiness, or just to express sadness? What drove you?
That's a good question. I started performing. Let's see. I bought my guitar in April. And my first performance in front of the public was in, I think, late July, so pretty soon after. And it was at first it was just this cathartic release, a way to just focus everything that was going on inside me. And then I think secondarily, just meeting this great supportive community of musicians, anywhere from people who are just as new as I was to people who are doing it, who've been doing it their whole lives.
That's the difference, because as a sexual violence coordinator, or however you put it, when you're dealing with this very heavy trauma, and you have to be someone in control and centered and all that, how does that change when you pick up a guitar and go in front of a mic?
I think, I would think that, I think performing, I'm getting a lot better at just taking, stage fright or whatever the emotions that come up and focusing them into whatever I'm feeling in the song and performing it. I think just having that understanding of being emotionally overwhelmed and then controlling it or focusing it, I think for sure helps in my work when I'm reading reports or just handling investigations.
Really?
Which
how does it feed in? How does it?
I think just being aware, reading some reports and just thinking, man, I have lost a couple days off the end of my life from just everything that's going on here.
Yeah.
And then just recognizing that, taking a breather, and just just being better at self-care and recognizing I need to take a break, or I'm feeling kind of wonky because this is heavy-duty stuff, and it's just a human reaction to have that, and just recognizing that it's normal to have an extreme reaction to some of this stuff. Just the way it's normal to have stage fright, or normal to mess up a song you've played 1,000 times before, or to be singing a song and then to be yourself overwhelmed and realize, I got to finish this performance.
It's interesting. I like a lot of us, I started performing when I was in my teens.
Yeah.
And to think of coming at it, at 40 or so, that's it. Do you think that you came at it as a fully formed adult, or were you scared? Did you get butterflies? Were you thinking like you were a kid again in terms of performing in front of people?
At my best, it doesn't feel like that. Just it feels like I have something to share. I'm the one who has it to share, so however it comes out is fine. At the worst, I realize, gosh, I'm playing the same three chords, and if I didn't have my capo, I'd only be able to play in one key.
Yeah.
But that's, kind of the negative side. The negative voice is talking.
Are you sometimes the fish expert when you're singing? Or are you sometimes the sex assault evaluator when you're singing? Or is there some other Joaquin that you tap into?
I think that's a great question. I think in the songs that I write, it seems, I specialize in writing lullabies and heartbreakers. And it's really, the voice that comes out is the kind of soothing internal voice that just says, however crazy it is, everything's going to be all right. And however bad it gets, just keep going and get up tomorrow and see if it gets better.
Are you singing to yourself, or are you singing to the people you're singing to?
I think most often right now I'm singing to my younger self.
Yeah.
The younger self that was kind of worried about hitting the wrong notes, having to get good at music, getting good grades, being good in school, having a successful career, and just kind of singing to that little kid saying, it's going to be all right. And whatever, just be true to yourself.
When you were a little kid, you studied music,
I
like
did,
a lot of
quite a
little
bit.
kids. Do you just forget all that and do what you do now? Or did that lay a foundation? Or did that lay a messed up foundation? I mean, we're talking about talked about how you did music when you were this high.
So I studied piano. I started studying piano, I think, when I was 5 or 6, and studied piano and music theory and music composition and voice up till I left home for high school. Left home for college.
Sure.
And I think for a long time it messed me up in feeling like, I studied all this stuff, I've dropped it, and I'm not very good. And so there's all this guilt there.
Well, did you like music when you left high school for college? Or were you just sick of it?
I don't know back then if I liked it. It was something my parents wanted to do, me to do. Clearly, they derived a lot of joy from seeing us. All of my siblings were into music. They derived a lot of joy from seeing us be involved in music, especially classical music. And so in that way, I enjoyed it. But, it was just something that we were supposed to do and that you had to be good at, like school and sports and all those things.
But you did it mechanically.
Yes.
That's what I've been hearing. There wasn't a whole lot of feeling in it.
Yeah. So yes, it was very mechanical, and nobody ever asked me how it felt to play these pieces, or no one said, "Hey, play this happy or play this sad," or "What does this music sound like?"
How about your siblings? I mean, who played what?
So let's see. My brother, he studied voice. My older brother studied voice. My older sister, gosh, she did everything. She sang and she played bassoon, played piano. She's still, I think of the four of us, well, maybe now I'm giving her a run for money, but of the four of us, she's the one who's most involved in music. And then my younger sister played piano, oboe, and also teaches piano lessons on the side right now.
What all did you play when you were that kid?
I played piano, studied voice, and also in the summers I went to a music composition camp, which was pretty wild. And that was very
camp.
Yeah.
How long were you at the camp?
It was 5 weeks every summer. I went there for 6 years.
God, that would drive me nuts. Just for learning the mechanics of the music?
No, that was more like music theory and composition. And so probably half the time there was writing music.
Holy cow. So some of that must inform what you're doing now.
Absolutely. I think
because that's been a lot of years ago, but
and so it's like the hard part is that, gosh, I studied so much music, and now the music I play is so basic. But the positive stuff is that I've been exposed to so much music that, phrasing and telling a story and just, being filled with the feeling of music and emoting is quite good.
What do you want to be doing with it as you go forward?
My goal right now is to be doing it up until the day I die, and just keep on learning and doing more of it. I'm still so new that every performance, every time I play the guitar, I feel like I'm learning something new and getting better.
See, that's interesting. In journalism, which I do, they say that everyone has a good 5 or 6 columns in them, which are essays.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people say, okay, well, it's you struggle.
Yeah.
After that, everyone has, when they start out doing music, they got a few good songs in them. How do you take that first blush of expressing your grief and this newfound emotion? How are you channeling that into something more developed, or are you?
I think one of the strategies I'm taking is, as well as doing a lot of covers and trying to write my own stuff, I also coordinate an open mic, and I do live sound for a couple bands and musicians.
Yeah.
And so just being exposed to all of it. And, when you're performing, there's the way you're playing, the way you're singing, the way you're connecting with the audience, and all those things. There's so many areas where you can get better and focus on that. It seems like it'd be hard to run out of areas to focus on and get better.
I don't know about you, but I did a lot of the music that I did, especially when I was much younger, and still to this day, I'm singing to myself, and it's a meditational thing.
Yeah.
And then taking it in front of an audience is, like you say, that's a whole other skill set, and it's a whole other list of demands. Not everyone really wants to do that.
Yeah. I think there's something in how terrifying it is or just recognizing that if I go up and just sing a song, it's clear if you're just singing the words and playing the chords versus really feeling something and expressing something to the audience. And so that challenge of, having a song, having a very clear image, a clear feeling, and conveying that, you're conveying it to the audience, but the first thing you got to do is feel it in yourself. And I think of all the things, just connecting to that internal feeling well enough to express it to the audience.
Well, you've got to be genuine then.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're using 12 different chords or just 3 chords in the song.
Genuine better be something interesting.
Yeah.
Because if it's not interesting, it's not going to play, right?
Yeah, well, I like to think that if it's genuine, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, that's what I think, that if it's genuine and it comes from inside of you, people are going to connect.
Who are you usually when you're playing? Can you be angry, or do you always have to be the sensitive Joaquin?
Right now I'm pretty sensitive or sad. I think happy and angry are harder emotions for me to express to myself. Well, angry for sure is a harder emotion for me to express to myself and also express to the audience.
Is it harder to be a singer playing in front of a bunch of people, or is it harder to deal with a sex assault that just happened at the campus that you have to be coordinating?
I think because of my role on the campus, it is, I would say it's harder, the work I do on the campus, because, it's also paying attention to the survivor as well as paying attention to the accused person. And just there's so many different factors and so many different players and priorities. When you're singing, especially, at least for me, when I'm singing, it's just me up on the stage. And
well, it's just you, but it's a naked you. You're, opening yourself up in a way that doesn't have authority, doesn't have expectations of being able to handle things. You can screw up.
I think at this point in my life, it is much more comfortable and easier to just be the naked Joaquin rather than having so many other roles and just, so many other roles and so many other things I should be, rather than it just seems so refreshing. Just go up there and be yourself is so refreshing at this point.
You talked about doing meditation at some point.
Yeah.
How did meditation help you or hinder you in that?
I think it helps me. So I've tried to start meditating probably half a dozen times in my life. Yeah. And this last time was most successful because one of the first things we were told is that your mind is going to wander. It will wander. The key to successful meditation is when you notice its mind wandering, you bring it back. And so just that thing of, it's not pass or fail, it's trial and error. And so as long as you can come back and learn from your error and come back and keep on trying, that's the key. And I think it's helped me relax in trying to write music. The hardest part for me about trying to write music is worrying about whether it's good enough. And it's easy when you're covering songs because you hear them on the radio, so you know they're good.
Yeah.
Versus when stuff comes out of yourself, it's hard to.
There's a way of expressing though when you cover something. You don't have to, unless you're one of those people that doesn't note to note. You bring your own interpretation. Or when you're singing, are you meditating?
For sure I feel it when I'm practicing, or in the mornings or in the evenings when I'm trying to catch a tune, or just feeling like making music and feeling the guitar vibrating. Sometimes in the best performances, it feels like I'm meditating, or just meditating in the form of I'm not caring about sweating, I'm not caring about the lights, I'm not caring about people getting drunk in the audience. I just got this one song and this one feeling, and I'm giving it to them. I mean, that form of focus for sure feels like meditating.
Does having now played for a few years and performed, does that change how you listen when you're on the other end of it?
Absolutely, especially when I'm doing live sound, or just now, like if I hear a song or hear performers play and it's making me smile, or I'm just getting into it, I feel like I'm more sophisticated in asking, what is it about the structure of the song? What is it that is... So rather than just saying I like it or I don't like it, what are the things that make this an enjoyable song for me, and what are the things I could take away?
Now that you've written some songs, do you mix up the sound on the voice more, or do you?
Yeah, I always when I do sound, I always give preference to the voice. Just because it's hard for me to be someplace where you can't hear can't understand the lyrics.
Is that different from what you would have done 10 years ago, and as you listen to music?
I think I'm always a lyrics person. I think if I've changed at all, I listen to more the embellishment that the guitar adds, and kind of especially what the rhythm guitar player is doing. Like how that person is laying down the chords, laying down the rhythm, but also even just simple hammer-ons or bending certain notes to really... it's like poetry, bringing out the clearest image with the least amount of notes or embellishments. And
then that loops right back to how you're trying to present what you're doing.
Yeah. Just what's the least number of chords, least number of words, least amount of stuff to put. How much can you take away to just have the feeling in the story?
Yeah, it's like Clapton says, one note will often do when 10 get used.
Yeah. So let's do the one note. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome, Kevin.
Have fun performing.
Thank you so much. Right. It's great being here.
I'm moving to Mars. Yeah, I think I'd like to try me out a life in the stars. My friends all say I need a place to air out my heart, so I'm moving to Mars. This life has been crazy. Sometimes I think I'm not really here. Every time I turn around, another friend is going down, and I can't see her face for the tears. So I'm moving to Mars. Yeah, I think I'd like to try me out.